Welcome to NFL Nexus. You know, when you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, you think about stability. It's their whole brand, right? The Steelers way. I mean, this is a franchise that has had just 3 head coaches since 1969. Let that sink in. 3. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. All absolute legends. That kind of consistency is just unheard of in today's NFL. But their latest move? Well, it's like they took that calm, steady foundation and just dropped a bomb on it, sparking a full-blown civil war inside one of the most loyal fan bases in all of sports. And the cause of all this chaos? The hiring of former Cowboys and Packers coach Mike McCarthy. Now, on the surface, it sounds great. A Pittsburgh kid coming home to coach his childhood team. But for a massive part of Steeler Nation, this feels less like a storybook and more like a nightmare they've already lived. So today, we're going to tear this whole thing apart. The arguments, the passion, the stats, and try to figure out what this huge gamble means for the future of the black and gold.
I think people are nuts. Wow. I mean, it doesn't get much more blunt than that, does it? Those are the words of a Pittsburgh god, a future Hall of Famer, the man himself, Big Ben Roethlisberger. And trust me, he was not holding back. He aimed that shot directly at the fans, the media, anyone who was trashing the McCarthy hire. With that one fiery sentence, Ben drew a massive line in the sand. He perfectly captured the deep, emotional split that this decision has caused. On one side, you have this iconic, beloved franchise legend defending the team's choice with every ounce of his credibility. And on the other, you have a frustrated, skeptical, and incredibly loud fan base that is convinced the organization just made a franchise-altering mistake. This isn't just a friendly debate over a beer. This is a fight for the very soul of the team.
You know, on paper, this is a script straight out of Hollywood. It's the kind of story the NFL absolutely dreams of. You've got the local boy, Mike McCarthy, who grew up right there in Pittsburgh's Greenfield neighborhood. You can just picture him as a kid, right? A stone's throw from the stadium, wearing the black and gold, idolizing the steel curtain defense. And now, after all these years, he finally comes home to lead the very team he worshipped as a child. It should be a fairy tale. It should be a citywide celebration, a feel-good moment for the ages. But the reality has been anything but a party. This homecoming hasn't been met with cheers and parades. It's been met with suspicion, anger, and a deep, nagging feeling of déjà vu for a fan base that is just so tired of being stuck in the middle.
The reaction was immediate, and honestly, it was pretty brutal. Instead of popping champagne, it felt like the entire city let out a collective groan. The sports radio phone lines in Pittsburgh just absolutely melted down with fans who were angry, confused, and just plain fed up. Social media, forget about it. It was a tidal wave of frustration and memes. So what's the deal? Why on earth would the hiring of a coach with a Super Bowl ring on his finger, a guy who was one of their own, get this kind of intense, negative reaction? Well, to get to the bottom of that, you can't just look at Mike McCarthy's resume. You have to dig into the recent and, let's be honest, painful history of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This anger isn't really just about one man. It's about a pattern that fans are sick of seeing.
Okay, so to really get why the fans are so upset, you have to understand the context. This is not some knee-jerk reaction. Think of it more like a wound that's been festering for the better part of a decade. For the fans, this isn't just about Mike McCarthy, the coach. It's about a deeply frustrating pattern of playoff failures, of coming up short when the games matter most. It's a pattern that has left this incredibly proud fan base absolutely starving for a real, genuine top-to-bottom change. They weren't just asking for a new coach, they were begging for a new identity, a new philosophy, a fresh start. And in their eyes, hiring Mike McCarthy is the furthest thing from that.
And right here on the screen, this is it. This is the statistical heart of the entire fan freakout. This is the data that makes their anxiety make perfect sense. Just look at the left column. That's the painful end of the Mike Tomlin era. A team that was good enough to get to the playoffs almost every year, but then just couldn't seal the deal, losing an incredible 7 straight postseason games. Their last playoff win was way back in January of 2017. In NFL years, that's an eternity. Now, look to the right. Fans see Mike McCarthy's recent time with the super-talented Dallas Cowboys roster, and what do they see? The exact same story. A 1-3 postseason record. Great regular seasons that just fizzled out in January. For a fan base that is desperate for a different outcome, this doesn't feel like a step forward. It feels like they're just stuck on the same old treadmill of disappointment.
So if you boil it all down, here's the bottom line. For the thousands of fans who are just not on board with this hire, after years and years of playoff heartbreak, after watching their season end in disappointment time and time again, they were screaming for a revolution. They wanted a completely new philosophy. They wanted a young, innovative offensive mind, a bold new direction for the entire franchise. Instead, they feel like they got a sideways move or maybe even a step back. In their minds, the organization played it safe. They chose the comfortable, familiar path instead of the bold one, and the fans are terrified that it's just going to lead them right back to the same place, another first-round playoff exit.
But just as that massive wave of public criticism was about to swallow the team whole, just when it seemed like the narrative of bad hire was set in stone, a Steelers legend stepped right into the middle of the fire. Ben Roethlisberger was not about to just sit back and let the fans and the media run wild with this story. Oh no, he came out swinging, with a passionate, fiery, and incredibly strong defense of the hire, and he took aim directly at all the doubters, challenging the very logic of their arguments.
And this single quote right here, this is the absolute core of Big Ben's entire argument. He's basically telling everyone, hey, forget the recent stats for a minute, put away your spreadsheets and your analytics. For him, this is about something deeper. This is about passion. It's about identity. For Roethlisberger, the fact that Mike McCarthy grew up a die-hard Steelers fan, that he gets the city, he understands the culture, he feels the weight of that logo, that is an intangible quality that you just can't measure. And in Ben's mind, that secret ingredient, that hometown heart, trumps almost everything else.
What Roethlisberger's doing here is making a really bold, and you could argue, a very old-school claim. He's saying that in a unique, blue-collar city like Pittsburgh, the culture is everything. The Steelers' way isn't just some clever marketing slogan. It's a real, tangible thing that drives the organization. And he believes that having a head coach who lives and breathes that culture, who truly understands what that team means to the people of that city, is way more valuable in the long run than just hiring the latest offensive guru with a complicated playbook. It really is the classic football debate, isn't it? What wins championships, heart and culture, or X's and O's?
But don't for a second think this is just some purely emotional argument from Big Ben. He's not just talking about feelings and hometown pride. He's claiming that all the critics have a very, very convenient case of amnesia. He believes they are deliberately ignoring a massive, gleaming accomplishment on Mike McCarthy's resume, the one thing that can shut down almost any debate in the entire National Football League. He's about to pull out his receipt.
And there it is, the ultimate trump card. One Super Bowl ring. While all the frustrated fans are laser-focused on the recent playoff losses in Dallas, Roethlisberger is pointing to the single most important piece of hardware in all of American sports, the Lombardi Trophy that Mike McCarthy lifted as the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. This is his mic drop moment in the whole debate. It's a powerful, undeniable reminder that for all the recent criticism, we're talking about a coach who's been to the mountaintop. He has successfully navigated the brutal playoff gauntlet, and he knows exactly what it takes to be crowned a world champion.
This quote is just incredible. This is Ben Roethlisberger putting his own legacy, his own reputation, right on the line. He's not just defending the hire anymore. He is issuing a direct, public challenge to every single doubter in Steeler Nation. He is so supremely confident that this is the right move, so certain that McCarthy is the man for the job, that he is literally daring the fans to save their angry tweets, to remember their phone calls, and to get ready to call him in 3 years to admit they were dead wrong. I mean, that's not just confidence. That is pure, unshakable conviction from a guy who knows a thing or two about winning.
All right, so all this debate about the new head coach is obviously incredibly important, but it immediately leads us to the single biggest question mark hanging over this franchise's future. Because let's be real, a new head coach, no matter how good he is only as good as his signal caller. The entire success or failure of the Mike McCarthy era in Pittsburgh is going to come down to the man taking the snaps. And right now, that position is completely up in the air.
This, right here, is the question. This is the one that's going to keep every Steelers fan staring at the ceiling at night for the next few months. Who is going to be the quarterback to lead this new era? Is the answer already in the building, or is he playing for another team right now? The answer to this question will determine whether this whole gamble on McCarthy pays off with a parade, or if it goes down in flames as just another failed experiment. And at this very moment, we have way more questions than we have answers.
So let's really break down the options on the table here as we look towards the 2026 season. First up, you've got the ultimate wild card, a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. The idea of him reuniting with McCarthy is fascinating, but can a quarterback at that age really stay healthy and play at an elite level? It's a huge, huge risk. And you've got the familiar face, Mason Rudolph. He's the safe bet. He's solid, he's dependable, he knows the system. But does he have that special something to lead a team to a Super Bowl? Most people would say no. And finally, you have the most intriguing option, the rookie Will Howard, a late-round pick from Ohio State. He's got all the physical tools you could want, but he's a total unknown at the NFL level. It's a room filled with massive gambles and even bigger question marks.
In a quarterback room that is defined by all this uncertainty, the new head coach himself has already started dropping some pretty big hints. If you listen closely to what he's been saying in his first few press conferences, Mike McCarthy has been especially glowing about one player in particular. It gives us a pretty massive clue as to where his attention and his developmental priorities might be as he starts to build this offense from the ground up.
And there you have it, straight from the coach's mouth. McCarthy is clearly, genuinely excited by the prospect of working with the rookie, Will Howard. Now, for any other coach, that might just be generic coach speak, right? But for a guy who built his entire reputation on developing quarterbacks, remember, he took a young Aaron Rodgers and turned him into a legend. He took a fourth-round pick in Dak Prescott and turned him into the Rookie of the Year. These words carry enormous weight. This isn't just a throwaway comment. It's a powerful signal that McCarthy thinks he might have found his next great project, a piece of clay that he can mold into a franchise quarterback.
So, after all of that, we come full circle, right back to the central conflict that has this city divided. The hiring of Mike McCarthy has essentially split the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers into two totally different competing timelines. One path is paved with fear, the fear that the team is just repeating the same frustrating patterns of the last 7 years, just with a new guy in charge. The other path, though, is built on faith. Faith in passion, faith in a proven championship pedigree, and faith that a hometown kid can be the one to finally restore this legendary franchise to glory.
And that right there is the billion-dollar question that is now hanging over the entire city of Pittsburgh. Will Mike McCarthy's homecoming, his deep-rooted passion for the black and gold, and his Super Bowl experience be enough to prove his biggest defender, Ben Roethlisberger, right, and finally bring another Lombardi trophy back to that city? Or will the fans' worst fears be realized, leading to another frustrating era of what-ifs and playoff disappointment? Only time is going to tell which side of this great debate was right. So what do you think? Is this a brilliant, culture-setting move or a massive mistake for the Steelers? I really want to know what you think, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to NFL Nexus for more deep dives into the biggest stories around the league. And hey, while you're at it, if you're looking for something fun for the football fans in your life and want to help support the channel, check out our coloring books. They are perfect for kids, grandkids, and yeah, even adults. You can find the link right in the description or just scan the QR code on your screen now. Thanks so much for watching.